Alright guys, today I'm going to be introducing you to Obsidian. This isn't a tutorial or a guide on how to use it, but it is going into the basics of it, at least from a DM's perspective of ways we can use it as a tool. I do recommend if you end up enjoying using it as a note-taking tool, absolutely watching a guide that further explains it and helps you in that way. But let's at least get a core look at it and how we can use it. Alright, stick with me. This is amazing. Alright, so the best way of looking at Obsidian is that it's a series of folders. You can put folders inside of and notes inside of those folders and so on and so forth. And it's just this general collection. They call things a vault that you store all this in. So we'll make this temp name just for now, right? Just while I show you how powerful this is. Let's get into it. So we're gonna hit create. Beautiful. We have our first vault. This right here is a little bit overwhelming, perhaps, to look at as a new person. So 1 second. All right. This can be a little bit overwhelming to look at as a new person. So let's get into it. So first things first, this graph view. We don't care about this right now. That's not important to what we're learning right now. It's neat, but not important. So let's delete those and get rid of this welcome message. Cool. So very basics. You're going to want a templates folder. Right click, new folder. Easy. You're going to select and write out templates. We need to classify this folder as our templates folder. So we're going to select this little cogwheel, hit templates, and select templates. Easy. That's a one-time setup. Done. We're going to put towns here. We'll get back to that, but let me show you that. Let me show you what we can do before we get into that. So let's say we need to figure out what's important for us as a DM in terms of running our game. Well, I suppose the campaign, that's pretty dang important, right? So we're going to make a new folder. We're going to call that the campaign. We're going to have another one, and we're going to separate it, and we're going to call this one the players, right? I'm sure there's other things we could separate out from here as well, but I think those two need to be looked at almost independently. While the players are in the campaign, you do have to constantly be able to go back and look into this. But let's take the campaign as an example. A few different things that can be important is, let's say, the story so far. You'll notice I made that as a folder itself, not as a note. I would do the same thing for something like the, let's say the main continent. I'm going to name this after my last campaign. We're going to call that Everend, right? So example, main continent is Everend, and inside of there I can put in other important locations that reside inside of Everend. For example, the Fiery Islands, right? You got the Fiery Islands, or we'll say like the humble town of Roseby, right? So we've got the town of Roseby. You'll notice I made that a folder as well, because you might have important things inside of the town, right? Let's say important people, right? Which then you can make them each as little notes that are filled out inside of important people, so on and so forth. For example, the mayor, right? You've got the sheriff or whatever, top guard or whatnot. Head guard, why not, right? And so on and so forth. And you've got the different things you can fill out there. But let's stick to the town of Roseby, right? So let's add the town. Now there's a lot that goes into building a town. And there's a lot that goes into building out a lot of these things. Even what you would put inside of the players template. Template is the key. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to cut forward, and I'm going to make a template real quick. Give me just one moment. Okay, beautiful. So we have a template. I left myself a little blank spot here so I can put the name after there of the town, and there will be other things that we'll fill in as well. But let's jump back over to Roseby right here with our note that's not filled in, and let's go ahead and select Insert Template, and now select Towns, which is this one right here, and now it's filled that section into Roseby. So for example, now we'd fill out the template and add in Roseby. And let's say that we call Roseby a small village. So I'm going to delete the rest of that. Let's go with the population. I gave myself little suggestions here, such as mostly humans, some few elves or dwarves, right? So we could call it 250. And I could leave the rest of that in as the example, right? Let's just actually just use that. Bam. Now our population is sorted. And I could then, so on and so forth, go through each one of these things, filling in things, right? This one right here, there's formatting here that you might not know how to do offhand. You probably don't. One of the really cool ones is this little table here. Super easy to implement. All you have to do, right click. There's ways of doing it with text as well, but you're gonna you're gonna insert, and then you're just gonna insert a table, and then you can just fill in all your options. And if you want to expand out, you can expand out, and so far and so forth. If you want to make things big, you just throw these pound signs or hashtags or whatnot before it. If you want to make things bold, throw some asterisks before and after. If you want to make things italics, single set of asterisks. You're good. All right. So, additional thing. Let's say we want to build off of things in here, right? Let's say we have our important people and we want to add things to there. Example, our blacksmith here. Okay, let's say we want to take this blacksmith right here and make him an actual person. Someone important, right? Let's adjust this. Let's adjust this. Let's go ahead and we'll name him Thurgo the blacksmith, right? Thurgo the blacksmith. Let's say he's someone important and he's got quests for them and all this, and we want to expand on his shop stock or other things, right? Now I'm going to chuck these brackets before and after his name, and now I can go and click him as a clickable link. And I can actually drag him over into my important people, and now he becomes his own note, right? Super nice, super nice. There's additional ways you can do that. Let's say that you're going through your story so far, you're filling it out, and there's a little bit of an information that you want to expand on further. You've written out your whole full note there, and you included that NPC's name that you made up on the spot. All right, cool. Make them a clickable link. A place that you reference offhand, or some treasure, clickable link, and then expand on it. But there's another way of looking at this that I think is really, really cool and useful. Let's expand on the story so far idea, and we're going to cut back to the campaign. So let's add a new thing. We're going to add a canvas. So a canvas is really cool. It's actually how I ideally like to look at my campaign, because campaigns don't work as like a linear note. It's not like a single straight line. Timelines and all that, right? So let's say, for example, we'll take a basic start to a D&D campaign. We'll say that the players started in an inn, right? We'll even make this big. Started in an inn. Beautiful. You could then, let's say, add in below there, then the name of the inn, which was the Iron Bucket, right? Or whatever it is you want to name it. And then you could have the Meta Dwarf, or whatever the things that occurred, right? You get what I mean. So you could make this, let's say, subplot here, and from there maybe they continued off to the general store, and then from there they continued off and blah 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 blah. You get the idea. They go off on their adventure. Maybe from there they cut off and they stopped at the apothecary, and then from there they went back on course, and then they went off on another side quest the other way, and then they actually didn't end up going back this way. They ended up continuing on that way, and so on and so forth. That's how campaigns tend to actually function, and it makes taking notes for things a little bit difficult. And maybe when you're doing this, it could be a little bit difficult to remember that this apothecary over here actually offered up a additional side quest, right? As a DM, there's a lot of these little side hooks that you will forget about for your players, but with this style of note-taking, you can just consistently see all of your little addendums. your little things, right? And let's say the general store here became important. Cool. You can do clickable links inside of here as well, and then you can make that its own link inside of your now flowchart, if you will, or whatnot, of the entire campaign. And if you needed to go and check about what was relevant for that one shop they stopped at back at the start of the campaign, and you need the name of the shopkeeper and so on and so forth, you can just go back and see all of that, and it's in this nice, neat format, if that makes sense. So this is probably the most powerful tool that I've gotten for myself as a DM. It is entirely free, aside from one little caveat there. For things to be shared between your different devices, there is a cost for them hosting your information there on their servers for it to be visible for your different devices. With I believe it's like $2 a month or something like that. For me, I pay it. It's absolutely worth it. I've got all of my campaign notes on my computer, the desktop. I've got it on my phone whenever I need it. I've got it on my laptop when I'm doing it in session, right? The laptop for me is my DM screen. So it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Additionally, you can add other things that you might think are relevant. Example, let's say that when we get back over to players over here, I'll add, let's say, John as a player myself, right? Inside of here, let's say that we want information for John. You can actually add photos inside of here. So let's say that John is playing a character that is Murgle. Murgle is a thief rogue. I can actually go and screenshot things, so example from D&D Beyond, and I could then paste them inside of here. Very neat. Slight note here, if you don't actually know, on a computer on Windows, you can do Windows key, Shift, S, and you can drag screenshots. So you can just select what portion of a screen, and then it'll basically be automatically cropping things. You don't even go to any video editor or probably photo editor or anything like that. You can just crop whatever you want, and then you can just Control V, and it'll just paste it right in there, perfectly cropped every time because you're cropping it instantly through Windows. It's great. Use that. It's wonderful. You can actually go then and add almost anything you'd want inside of here into there. Let's say that for your players' information, you want all of their stats just readily visible to you. Cool. All of their stats readily visible to you as a DM. You just have it. You need to go and look at their stats page. It's just there. Easy. It changes. Just add it again. Continuing forward, let's say that we're handling the story so far and then they ran into a combat encounter against something. You could actually just take pictures of the thing's stat block and put them in. Or maybe you're continuing the story and you have a planned combat encounter. You can write out your entire combat encounter and have your stat block in your notes as a photo. And then you never have to click out of there. You've got every bit of information in your notes just readily available to you. It's wonderful. I highly recommend giving this a try. Yes, the blank canvas, the blank notes can be a little bit daunting at first, but with a little bit of help from templates and building out a variety of templates, such as adventures and quests. You can do it for NPCs. You can do it for things of world building, pantheons, religions, right? Cities like your towns. You could do ones for your players. You could even do like combat encounter templates, different fun activity templates, right? You could build out all of these things that are just a simple push of a button, and now you're just going to fill in your information and build off of it. And it's nice because it all tucks away in a neat little way. And if at any point when you're going through campaign notes, if you need to check what John's passive perception was, you just go and look and you see he has a passive perception of 15. If you need to quickly cut back to the boss fight, you just quickly cut back to the boss fight. It's all there. It's all readily available. You need to remember what happened in the story some time ago in the inn. It's all there in your notes, easily accessible. You're not delving through 5 different notebooks that you've started taking notes at different sections in the notebook because that part was already being used and so on and so forth. No, everything's condensed, everything's easily searchable. You can search all of this. You can actually make tags to all of it as well, which is really cool. Example, let's say that in OneNote section, the bandits come up. I think it's actually one of these. The bandits come up in this section of notes, and in this other section of notes, when we're going into the town of Roseby, the general information. Hold up one second. Current events. The bandits are raiding often, right? If we want to get and search into that thing, Control F, bandits, and we're gonna see. Oh, hold up. Sorry, no, I want to search here. If we want to search bandits, we can see everywhere that it actually comes up, and then we can see how they connect to each other, right? So, very good, very nice. Highly recommend you all give this a try. It's honestly the biggest help that I've ever had as a DM in terms of managing my campaign. Highly recommend. I know it can be hard to get into note taking. This makes it easy. Please give it a try. Thank you for watching. This has been John with Tabletop Wisdom. This isn't a tutorial. This isn't a guide on how to use Obsidian. I do recommend watching one if you end up enjoying it. It is a wonderful tool, but this is where to get started and how even the basics can get you so much further than just a basic notebook. Mind you, scratch paper, notebook, keeping track of stats, all that. I do love it. I do keep them to my side as a DM. They are always helpful, but this right here it keeps me sane. Thank you for watching. This has been John with Tabletop Wisdom. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that I've taught you something that you did not know previously or taught you a new way of looking at things. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you. Goodbye.